In today's video, I've got the DJI Flip and I've had it for 1 month and I'm going to give you my honest review on this and whether this drone is for you. Let's get into it. One of the most interesting things about the Flip is the fact that you can actually take off from your palm. But more surprisingly, it's when you first get it, I kept thinking I was hitting the power button when I was switching it on. You notice this come on straight away when you unfold the props. Better yet, when you then fold them down, you get...
Aircraft will power off in 5 seconds. Press any button on aircraft to cancel.
Which is really good. I think that's actually a quirk they've not mentioned at all on the promo. It's one of the first things I like, plus taking off from your palm. Of course, everyone is talking about these guards on here, which, let's face it, looks like some sort of bicycle thing going on. And I was like, I get where they're going at. They did it on the Neo, and you've got guards around here, which is, you know, makes complete sense. I mean, this can take a bit of a bashing. Not sure this can. And one of my biggest concerns here is the fact that, let me just open up one of these. I can put my finger through that. You can see that's going right through there. So you can't like grab it like that. And of course, when you palm catch this, because that's another great feature of it, when you palm catch this, keep your fingers straight like that. That's something I've certainly found out in the last month of owning this. While we're on the subject of size, when you look at the drone like this, it does look rather big, but it actually isn't. When you weigh it up against the other 3 drones I've got here, you've got the Neo, which is their smallest drone. Then you've got the Mavic Mini 4 Pro. This is the Mini 3. And then you have the Flip in the middle. I think you go from this one to this one to this one. This looks big, but it really isn't. When you unfold the Mini, visually, that looks smaller, especially when you put it up like that. But what you're not considering is how far those props... Oh God, I feel kind of vulnerable doing this to him, like he's being crucified or something. When you hold it out like this, you notice how much bigger it is. So the size is a thing, but the Mini packs down a lot smaller. Of course, it's more expensive than the Flip, but the Flip is actually, it's not a big drone. I mean, I had a Phantom 4 Pro. That's a big drone. And that was only like 6 or 7 years ago. So they've got really small, to the point that you can just tuck this little fellow away, put them in your pocket and be done. Better yet, you don't actually need a controller. As long as you've got the DJI Mimo app, you're good to fly it. But there's a word of warning for me on that front. If you don't use a controller, you have limited settings. So you've only got, like, let's talk about frame rate, for example. You've got 30 frames a second or 60 frames per second if you don't use the controller and you just use the drone. When you connect your phone to the controller, you have a lot more scope on the capabilities of all the different settings, frame rate, resolution, all sorts. So just something to be very aware of is that if you are flying this just by this and you want more settings, you need the controller with you. With this, I already knew, because of the Neo, that it wasn't going to be the quietest drone at all. Let's just take a listen to all 3 of these drones and comment below what you think sounds the best and you'll be quite happy to go out with and fly. I've also got some footage here. While we're capturing the B-roll of this, we flew the Mini to film this up just to, you know, add a bit more spice to this video. And the one thing which stuck out for me was the fact that all I could hear was this drone. This disappeared in the background. Take a listen. That kind of confirmed to me that I'd much rather fly this drone. We're out in a forest, people walking around. People notice when we're flying this compared to this one. As soon as this goes above like 15 meters, nobody hears it. So it's a consideration for you when you're thinking about what drone to get, especially in a non-pro level. I'm not brave enough to really damage this. You've got YouTubes out there, it's like, how much can we hit this into a wall until it breaks? Now, this does flex quite a bit. It's a foldable drone. So out of interest, I was like, let's just tap away at it. It was doing quite well until I was a bit of an idiot. The only reason the drone actually crashed is because it hit me. If I wasn't stood in the way, it would have recovered absolutely fine. So I know if you were pushing this a bit and you're going sideways, front ways you've got a sensor on it, infrared sensor, you'll be absolutely fine. It will stop. If you're going sideways, it will hit something. It could take a bit of a bashing, but I wouldn't go full pelt. Unlike this little guy, you could actually just whack it straight into a building. One of the biggest questions is, I think, if you're in the market to buy a new drone, is which drone? Initially, I thought, let's go for the Neo. If I didn't have a drone, I'll go for the Neo. And that is because of the other things you can do with it. You can get some FPV goggles as well, have so many different flight experiences. But what lets it down on here is the camera. Unlike this drone, which has a decent 1/1/3 camera, the same as the Pro I've got here, I would pick this because, actual fact, if you're considering a drone, you're either filming or taking photos. So you want that camera to be the best you possibly can. And I am absolutely stunned. It's identical to this drone here. Another consideration of yours when you're looking at all three of these drones will be the weight. Now, these are all sub 250 gram weight. What that actually means is you can pretty much fly it anywhere you like. Always taking the drone code, people around you, animals and all that side of things. But you get away with it. And even as a professional, when I'm filming with drones, I like to lean towards the small one because the risks are so much lower. So that's another consideration, and the size and portability of it all. But being 249 grams across the board, really, I think DJI's done a good job at that because it's just opening up much more for people out there who want to fly them. Let's touch on the tracking features. And this is where it does come to its own. This is where you don't need a controller. On the front of this display here, you can select different tracking features by the mode button on the side. So you switch it on and you select the one you want, whether it's follow, track, and then all you do is let it take off from your palm and it follows and films you. Now, that is the biggest benefit, especially as if you're a solo creator and you haven't got somebody else there flying a drone, you can just have it track you. Like with all these drones, they have all the advanced features so that basically you look like a cinematographer out the box. You can just press a button, like with the master shots, and it'll get all the different shots you want if you're in a location. But be aware, on this drone, it only has a front sensor and a bottom sensor as well. So if you do go sideways or you're flying backwards, the only thing that's going to save it are these prop guards. Flight time, DJI actually say it's 31 minutes long. I'm like, that is quite good, but in reality, for experience, we're getting around about 22, 23 minutes, especially if you put into sports mode and you're pushing it. If you're going quite gentle with it, you're not using much energy on it, you'll get closer probably to 25, 26 points. But if you're in the market for your first ever drone, I always advise go for the combo edition because then you get more flight time. You can just swap out that battery and put another one in. Because bitter experience tells me, like with this drone, we only went for one battery. We went out and started filming with it and we're like, right, we've got some more shots to get yet and we're running out of battery. I wish we had gone for the combo. Just take a look. That is just off the ground, that prop there. So if you've landed on grass, gravel, or even sand, you're gonna get a lot of stuff up in your props. One of the things I wish they had done is put little feet on it like they have here. Now, I believe these may well be antennas, so that obviously it can connect to control or your phone. I wish they had put them on the back here as well, because when you land this on grass, sand, stone, or anything, even though you've got these guards around here, that is an extremely close to the ground. You're talking millimeters off the ground. You could possibly damage your props as it lands. It's a consideration. Somebody may come out with some sort of attachment later on. But unlike the Neo, where your props are raised above the belly of the beast, you're fine. And plus, it's a lot smaller and a lot more robust. If we just take a look at the Mini again, you see again, the props are raised above the body. You may have guessed where I placed the Flip in the DJI drone lineup, and you would be right. I've placed it above the Neo, but below the Mavic Mini Pro. The Neo is, I think, a couple £100. This is around about £360, and this is around £600. So they get more expensive. I think DJI have done this on purpose. They've gone, right, if you're first into drones, get the Neo. It can take a bashing. Once you're happy with how this flies, the camera's not so great, you want better quality, you go for the Flip. Then from there, you go to the Pro. It's a very logical order, but I would actually say to you, if you're new to flying drones, I would go straight to the DJI Flip. It is very safe to fly, very safe. This you will struggle with, there's a bit of wind outside. This you won't. But if you're in the market and you already got a drone and you're thinking, you know what, I'm gonna switch over to DJI, if you got the budget, I'd go Pro. Personally, I love all three of these drones, but this little fella is still my favorite. And if you want to know my 5 favorite things about this, check this video out here. And if you've got any comments about the Flip, comment below and I'll catch you again soon. Take care.